Just got done watching Maddow. That's not MSNBC. That's not CNN. The Maddow I just watched wasn't from MSNBC. Now this news. Decent little, I suppose, either progressive or, you know. Anyways, an expose type channel that's been adding current administration people. Here we have Shadow Industry. Oh. Now the Google thieves are trolling. That wouldn't be a first. Unhackable console? I wouldn't go that far. The PS3, no, not so much. Anyways. It's funny how whoever's side uploaded these clips, whoever's stealing the millions of dollars from American entertainment professionals. At the very end of that last little Rachel Maddow thing, she was just starting to talk about how none of Putin's oligarchs are women. And they cut her off. I suppose a limited perspective might question why I would think that Russia would be side uploading Rachel Maddow. They're not afraid of anything Rachel Maddow knows. We're going to watch that one way or the other. They're trying to limit the success and the monetizability of Rachel Maddow's content on the internet so that she herself and her production team underestimates their effectiveness and their profit potential. Thus creating a pseudo-impressionistic model from which the broader spectrum of the market becomes dominated. Those were really big words. I'm not sure what they meant. Anyways, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are, and welcome back to the channel formerly known as Belost Gotten Stuff. As you can tell, we are in the Easy Grievers Fish Room. And I am your host, as always, Fake TV's Sean Morris, here on Fake TV. Yeah. Technically, YouTube has become fake YouTube. It's not even fake TV anymore. It's just fake YouTube. Broadcast yourself, or broadcast Canadians pretending to be people just like you. It's just fascinating how an American company seems to just, well, hate America and Americans. Anyways, YouTube has made millions of dollars for millions of possible Russian agents for a decade and a half. For a decade and a half, the number one place to find reasons to be paranoid about the United States government. look no further than YouTube. During the Bush administration, it was 101 reasons why Bush was going to take over and there was never going to be an election again. And when there was an election and Obama took over, suddenly it all flipped. It's as if it didn't matter what the actual viewpoint was as long as it was against whoever was in charge here. But they all showed their true colors, didn't they? When Russia finally got its puppet put into power. Suddenly, all these things that always opposed whatever anybody was doing. When there was a right-wing administration, they were on the left. When there was a left-wing administration, they were on the right. And then suddenly Trump takes over, and they're with Trump. Yeah, what a coinkydink. You see, their purpose was to reduce America's standing in the world, and so is Trump's. But all of this has happened before. And it'll happen again. If people don't learn that that is the case. I see my morning first few second troll monitor has decided that they've heard enough. I had my one viewer that comes on as soon as we start, when they're gone, right around the time that they're usually gone. Anybody else seeing a pattern there? Politics, 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 prophecy, they're gone. Politics, 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 prophecy, they're gone. Let me just tell you this, what I was saying yesterday. In 1994-95, there was a human being created with the name that I had just received from a prayer. This child was created as a result of my demand that a commemoration be made on the day that if I was who I was being told I was in fact that being. And I said, prove to me, O God of gods, that I am your begotten, and this my secret name that you have just told me should be commemorated by the birth of a child with that name. But I was 15 years old at the time, and as you know, I'm a smartass. And I figured if I'm a smartass, then there's nothing wrong with being a smartass. And at the time, Courtney Cox was on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, and you could not find a teenage boy who did not just enjoy going, Courtney Cox, okay? So this prayer I was having, in which I received what would to any Christian, especially a exorcist level Christian like I was, blasphemy, and I suspected the notion as being put into my head by a demon. And I said, if you're God right now, there will be a child, I don't know what that is, but there will be a child, hopefully, that will be born, and his name will be Nothan Cox. Okay? Basically, you're trying to tell me I'm the baby Jesus, or I was the baby Jesus, or something like that. John the Baptist is what I thought I was, like, fulfilling the role as, maybe. And I even considered that to be a possible delusion. And to prove to me that this is not a blasphemous notion. Now, again, I've said this before. If you hear the voice of God, if you hear things, you're not psychic, you're crazy, okay? You need lithium, you're having an auditory hallucination. People who are psychic know the difference between hearing things and knowing a psychic voice, kind of. It's like when you're looking at someone eye to eye while you're speaking to them, and you see their facial expressions reacting to what you're speaking, and you know what they're thinking, kind of. That's the same as it is for any type of actual psychic phenomena, as far as telepathy goes anyways. Now, that is the only level of connection I had, okay? Similar to, you know, what's skeptically minded when you're early on in your training before things get verified for you can be easily confused with imagination. And that's because the power is linked just inseparably to imagination itself. Imagination is actually the power of creation. It is a spiritual power, okay? But anyways, Nothan Cox. In 2011, when I awoken, I had my wife pull him up on Facebook. There he was, a little baseball cap. Fucking adorable little kid, just the same exact age that he was supposed to be, named Noathan. Cox. Ha 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 ha. What you need to understand is that whether I'm a crazy person or I'm the returned whatever, I don't think y'all really understand what I am. That's why I always say whatever. Regardless, according to the evidence I've seen, according to the evidence I've tried to show, there is a power capable of creating a human being. Okay? Creating an entire life just to convey a thought to me. Whatever the fuck I am, clearly that power is linked to this prophecy in this book. And that power that created a human life is God. And that's the power that you're going up against, Russia. That's the power that you're going up against, Google. A power that created a human life just to convey a thought. I mean, sure, it's a prophesied thought. It's the secret name. Otherwise, I would have been kind of a prick to, demand that it be commemorated. But again, in my wisdom as an exorcist at the age I was, I at least knew the rules. last I checked, a lot of history and mythery would not be what it is if devils could create people. So the very power that created that human boy, Nathan Cox, my screen name, the living trophy, that's the power that could brush the entirety of Siberia off of this earth as if it were a speck of dust. Now, are you trying to tell me that this kid doesn't exist? Are you trying to tell me that my screen name wasn't made exactly when he was born? I'm sure the Russian Federation has the power to find these electronic records and prove that what I'm warning them about, their complete annihilation, is quite certain. You know, as if I haven't just like waved my hand and had lightning strike exactly where it was obvious that I was intending it to. I mean, what the fuck more do you want from me, people? You know? Anyway. Fish tanks? Let's look at some fish tanks. Anyway, good morning. Who's here? How y'all doing? What's up? Hi, Emily. I think it's fair to say whatever it is that made that kid, whatever it is that made me have dreams of the Boston Marathon thing and tell my dad my sister would be dead in 2 years, exactly 2 years before she died. Okay. Yeah. I looked right into my father's eyes. I said, you seem to think that there's going to be some eventual distant future in which Michelle's going to wind up dead. Mark my words, Dad. 2 fucking years. And my sister died exactly 2 years later. So when I say Russia's going to be destroyed in an hour, that worries me. Frankly, as far as a physical location, as far as a group of at least former indigenous cultures, I love Russia. I mean, I used to live in fucking Kiev. Or have I not mentioned that the whole Jacques de Molay thing was actually the same person, and that's kind of one of the reasons why he was killed? Just for the record, grew a whole lot of pumpkins in Ukraine. Just saying, just saying. Yes, a Pumpkin King reference. A Pumpkin King reference. Because, you know, things just couldn't be complete without that. It's very funny how John and Jack are such different names but interchangeable. And, like, I don't have to worry about that claim being lost to history because, well, there was this guy. I don't know if you heard of him. I think his last name was Kennedy. And see, what had happened was he started talking about the relationship between public discourse and the Cold War. And he was talking about basically people in the U.S. media doing Russia favors, whether they meant to or not, and just trying to sort of talk about some of the same things I like to talk. His name is my name too. So wait a minute. Wait a minute. What you're trying to say is that if John and Jack are the same name, then John the Baptist's actual name was Jacob? No, that's not what I'm saying. But it's an interesting theory, person with the weird voice. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. Yep. Start talking about Kennedy. Oh, yeah. Start talking about the Cold War, and right as I mentioned, and his name was, and then I'm buffering. Yep. His name was Jack Kerouac. No. His name was John Kensington. No. His name was John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. No. So, as we've discussed, there's this thing called a babushka lady. You know? And that, among other obvious, I mean really obvious things, indicates that Russia was clearly behind the assassination of Jack Kennedy, John Kennedy, JFK. I don't even feel like I need to make this case anymore. Fucking Oswald spoke Russian. All of Russian conspiracy wants you to think that Oswald actually didn't even fire a shot and that the CIA did it. Okay, so, you know, babushka lady, Russian guy, counterintelligence operation, the Russians fucking did it. Okay, it's obvious. So in this cyclical repeating of history where I am back to warn about the, you know, same shit, different day, the person in this nation, and I mean this is, that there's a historical precedent from like 3800 BC, and 2000, like, there's just always this pattern of history where a leader, before I show up, okay, gets assassinated. And just how, like, my mom has the same name as, you know, like my wife, invariably I will have the same name as that leader who was assassinated. It's just one of the little patterns I've noticed. As to the reason why, I suppose it's to make things easier to recognize for people who like to just sit there and say, no, that can't be possible. No, because I've already decided that I don't believe that based upon a bunch of bullshit that I should have never been allowed to learn in the first place. Yeah, that's the problem. Your entire fucking perspective on reality is based on lies. So when somebody comes bringing the truth to you, it's a little hard to swallow. No matter how many actual facts, no matter how many actual obvious discrepancies I point out to you and say, you'd have to be blind not to see this, but that's okay, because demons cause blindness. And I can show you just how these demons work. I can show you just where these demons came from in history. And I can show you how to use your knowledge of evil to rid yourself of evil. Because people have a bad tendency to confuse good with self-righteousness. And as a result, they wouldn't know good if it bit them in the face. And they have, in their quest to feel like, I don't know, more good than other people, have lost the ability to see planks in their own eyes while they point out the splinters in others. You see, to get rid of the evil that you've become because of brainwashing, first you have to undo the brainwashing. There's no, let's just progress. There's no relying on the Constitution to keep civilization together, okay? When the very belief structure that empowered those founding documents is being assaulted. We're actually parsing. Oh, no, we're past parsing whether or not belief in God is the starting point from which religious denominations spring from. And we're actually at the point where we're considering being the enemy of God to still be a valid religion. We actually consider atheism the completely non-evidentiary based delusion that God does not exist, a completely non-evidence based delusion. Anyone who looks for God finds him, okay? And Satanism, which is the opposite of all religions, which exists only to persecute religion. We have somehow become ignorant enough to acknowledge these things as religions and let them gain influence over our society. We've actually modeled our society around not offending those people. What the fuck? And you want to tell me about I'm harming your virgin ears by using the F word? It's Gaelic for smite. And if you don't know about me and smiting, you're probably going to wind up being smoten or smitten. Smotten. Yeah. My joke, not Maui's. Okay, just making that clear. That was on this channel a year before the fucking movie came out. But he also stole my tattoos and my story and... Oh wait, no. I snapped my fingers and said they were going to make a movie about that so I could explain something magically. Because that's how I do. Remember we were talking about the Oonite genocide and we got about to the islands off of Australia, and I was like, oh, well, there's this time where kind of we got stuck in time and there's no point in explaining all of that. So I'm just going to make a movie out of it, and I snapped my fingers, and then you fucking had Moana. Either that or the Disney Corporation was so closely monitoring everything I ever said that they decided, hey, there's this crazy guy on YouTube who thinks he's Jesus. Let's make a movie about this one random idea he had. I think it's much more rational to think that I used magic. Just saying. Just saying. I've proven that I can use magic. I've proven that I can do things that you can't fucking explain to save your life. Okay? However, you can't prove to me that people in Disney Studios would act so fucking retardedly. Okay? Therefore, it is more logical to assume that I use magic to make the movie Moana. Just saying. These are evidence-based facts, people. Vulcan levels of logic. Oh, what'd you say, Emily? Oh, sorry, I missed it. Oh, yeah. Good movie. I think they should take the CGI threads, you know, like the triangle pattern, and the whole model for Maui, and they should do a Rick Ross hustling video with it. Doesn't that just work too well? Just picture Maui doing, every day I'm hustling, 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 hustling. Yeah. Who the fuck you think you fucking with? I'm the fucking boss. I bet you Dwayne would do it. Dwayne Johnson be down for that shit. You know, because he's got to do it so they can model the face after, right? I don't know. Maybe that's how they do it. I don't know. Seems like the easiest way to do it, if you ask me. I mean, unless they figured out the 145 different things that you'd need to film in order to amalgamize and put together. Oh, there. We're saying amalgamize again. It's like the word of the week, I tell you. Anyways. So very interesting. We had the 1-2 drop. We had 3 viewers just then, and it came on 1 and 2, and then it went away 1 and 2. Who'd have known that this is what Orwell would look like, you know? Excuse me. I have Maui, the rap video, just in my head. It's just coming way too naturally. It's like Maui in a Cadillac, like Maui in a BMW. I twist them long, I twist them wide, I twist them fat. I keep them coming back. We keep them coming back. I'm into distribution. I'm like Atlantic. I got the pretty things flying across the Atlantic. I know Pablo. But they could parodize it, you know, like, I know Tamatoa. Sea monster. The real sea monster. Wait, no, the real Tamatoa. I got nothing. I'm like, he turned me into a boa. I got nothing. I got nothing. Oy. Yeah, cool. So Emily had my first pre-meeting. Um, Met with my plumbing and electrical person. The actual carpentry crew guy is my next door neighbor, so I get to meet with him all the time. Um, but met with the sort of management, hands-on person among the different investors. Okay, trying to be non-specific, but while giving you enough information, because I know you've been thinking about it. So the way I've got it set up is sort of a high liquidity strategy because of the different patents and things I'm going to want to fund in the near term. So the contract, as far as the corporation goes, is going to be simplified through a parent company, so that any sort of hands-off investors will be able to have kind of simplified paperwork, right? But I've made a plan that goes, well, I wrote it out twice. I wrote it out objective by objective and then year by year. Because some of these objectives could be done 3 in a year, some of them might take 1 per year. There's no way of telling how quickly it's going to go until we get things started and realize, get a more realistic impression of how available people are going to be in the early stages. You know, because everybody's got existing projects and shit like that, right? So stage by stage, at stage 3 or year 3, we experience maximum red after 1 year of surplus. Okay, maximum red to build essentially an updated facility. Okay. That's the first red point. Then the second red point is when we buy 10 properties at once. Okay. Or within the same year. So that red is at negative 380,000. Okay. Then the following year I show positive 1.4 million. Okay. Now, that's not one dip down and then one dip up. That's, you know, you find the property, you know, we're going to get a little bit down and then we're going to sell and then we're going to, you know, fluctuate, but it's going to average out basically 1.4 minus 380 at the end of year 3. So, but the whole process right now is to get started. Land that's going to be owned sort of disparately. So the initial investment is going to be reliquidated by us and them and possibly one other family, taking the land, rezoning it, and purchasing it from ourselves, basically. And this is where we're going to build the prototypes that are going to be used to actually refine the process, because you don't want to just put something on paper and say you can sell it. No, we're going to have to build a couple for ourselves. Then my plan is to buy 3 specific very cheap properties around here. Petey! Both of them go back to their corners. Jeez. You have a fucking bell on that tank. 10 seconds. You know, fuck. Every fucking morning, they get in the same spot, and Smurfette just don't want to give it up, and Peter just takes a fucking chunk out of her. Jeez. Whoa. 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 Oh, come on. Really? As soon as I turn the fucking camera? The fucking interstate was a disaster. I don't know what the fuck just happened up there. It looked like a wreck or something. I don't know. But good God. There's just flashing lights and no movement. Like, couldn't even tell. How's I-10? Shit. I don't know if I got it over there in time. Anyways, what the fuck was I talking about? Now look, we had the 1-2 go up it again. So anyways, about that, Emily. Plan to come down soon if y'all are coming down. And we'll work out some sort of a... I like to do default clauses. You know? Oh, what's up, Salty? Sorry, we had the usual pattern of troll bot type activity. Or the multi-user. I don't know. He stole Lulu Dallas's multi-pass. And just repeatedly happen where it's one person then another person, and then that person leaves then another person, one person, another. And that's the same pattern that would happen when this fucking person would troll with like 10 different names every 5 minutes. And we just block them, block them, block them, and just come back with a fucking another account over and over again. The way only a Google employee could do. And I'm not talking for 5 days before they got, you know, a blanket fucking IP ban, right? We're talking for what, 3 years straight? Yeah. Same motherfucker. Talking all kinds of shit, including saying he was a psychiatrist and he was going to have my kids taken away from me. Good luck with that. Oh, look, there's the sheriff's card. Let me just call him. Oh, there's the captain of the fucking police department. That neighbor and that neighbor. Yeah. They've had a big problem with me for obvious reasons. But there aren't even any such like departments in this state anymore, which is funny. We used to have like actual mental health. That's an interesting subject that people don't discuss enough. The decline of society, the increase in YouTube conspiracy type shit, and its introduction into our fucking political discourse has happened simultaneously with the closure, the massive mass closure of public mental health care facilities. Just on a side note, 'cause I know a lot of doctors, I have a lot of friends who became psychiatrists. I've seen a therapist or two in my day, and I can run circles around them logically. I try to teach them as best I can. My parents got divorced when I was 10, and that was the early 90s. That was like when therapy was the thing, man. Oh, God. And it's just, anyways. Find something you can push on that won't move instead of punching things. But I like punching things. You know, like, it's just not the same. Anyways. It just fascinates me. Like, people generally marvel at how well behaved and aware and adjusted my kids are, especially considering some of the shit they had to go through. Now, I try to limit my crazy around them, but They know that when the power goes off, I wave my hands and it comes back on. Yeah, ever since the live stream where lightning struck the fucking house or the transformer that sits right there, and the fucking whole house went dark, and the computer with no battery in it kept going. The live stream kept going. Didn't even buffer. We're sitting there, no fucking power, for a good, what, minute and 30 seconds, 2 minutes, something like that. And like my face is sitting there glowing and phasing and shit. It's a bizarre fucking video. But that was live. I don't know how I might have edited that. I don't Snapchat or anything like, you know. Like, let's just say it's a far cry from a little puppy dog face or whatever with the ears and shit, you know. Fuck. Anyways. Ooh. I gotta wake my wife up. My head's spinning. I need to, like, make coffee and shit. Oh. I seem to... Something seems to have gone wrong with my coffee. Someone came in here while I blinked and drank all my coffee. They must be quick, man. They must be really fucking quick. I just blinked for a second, and just before I could even open my eyes back up, some coffee stealing demon from the powers of darkness and the fires of hell Dark of the Moon. Came and stole my coffee. Some kind of witch boy came down from the mountains, trying to tempt our young ladies and drinking all our coffee. I can't even with this shit. I could probably still remember the little fucking songs that I had to write for that play. It was such a goofy, creepy play. We had so much fun doing it. It was mostly just recent high school graduates, you know. Yes, well, today's the 8th, so I'm no longer the birthday boy, but I think it's Elvis's birthday or something. It's either Elvis or Nixon. I forget. Elvis is born a day before me or a day after me, and Nixon is born the other. Because I saw some fucking movie where Nixon and Elvis met and they discussed their birthdays, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm right in the middle of that. Oh, thanks. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Putin apparently thought I might like a cannon fired. No? That's what they did to commemorate the birthday thing. What's funny is the Joan of Arc birthday is celebrated on the 6th. And they got a parade in New Orleans for that. That seems like, I'm just saying, like, at the risk of sounding highly narcissistic, I understand, but this is a joke. Okay, so bear with me. The costumes and decorations that are used on the Joan of Arc celebration in New Orleans is as though they sat me down in some sort of a chair that had an IV of some strange substance that was making me feel really fucking good. And everything had to have my approval before it was allowed to be a deck. Like they just got me high as shit and let me decorate them, basically. Somehow it seems like everything there had to pass, not my scrutiny, but like the scrutiny of me if I was really fucked up. It's like, yes, that's a good idea. Sure, yeah. Oh, what are those, horns and wings? Both on your head. Okay, cool. So, like, you're a unicorn and you're a mermaid? All right, yeah. Let's do this. I'm trying to remember more of them. They were fascinating. If you look at, is it NOLA? NOLA.com or something like that. They have a YouTube channel and they posted a clip from it. I just saw it. Anyways. Camel and a pigeon. Yeah, they probably had that. It reminded me of a fucking sci-fi con, the way they used to do that, where you're just drunk and just seeing costumes of things that you don't really understand, that you kind of remember from childhood, and just like, I'm fucked up. Anyways, so I'm gonna go wake up my wife now, because I'm gonna get yelled at if I don't. And there's little Leo, and there's Mai, and there's Smurfette getting bit to shit. And the Duncan has turned to 3 Duncans. Check that out. I have 3 Australian Duncans. And they got covered in caulerpa, and they just got fished out, so they're fine now. Anyways, yes, Bubbles and Zoom. Well, thanks for watching, y'all. Thanks for hanging out and chatting. I'll be on later, more than likely. I'll try